Does Wonder Woman handle the Hulk in bed? Hey everyone, how's it going? First of all, I know exactly what you're thinking. What kind of crazy video am I watching right now? Relax, you're not the only curious one. Let's be honest, this is one of those bizarre questions everyone has thought about but never had the guts to say out loud. Until now. So, let's dive into this unlikely yet fascinating debate. Could the Amazonian princess survive a night with the most temperamental green giant in comics? Or would it end up like a scene straight out of The Boys? Let's find out, understanding the combatants. First, we need to understand who we're dealing with. On one side, there's Diana Prince Wonder Woman, a demigoddess, sculpted by the gods of Olympus. On the other, we have the Hulk, a scientist transformed into a destruction machine fueled by rage. You can already tell this encounter would be, at the very least, intense. Wonder Woman's endurance. Let's start by analyzing Wonder Woman's durability. Diana isn't just any human, she was molded from clay by Zeus and blessed by the gods. She's withstood blows from beings like Darkseid and Superman, survived nuclear explosions, and blocked attacks capable of destroying planets. In some stories, she even held up the weight of the universe. Not too shabby for a princess, right? But even with all that superhuman endurance, we have to remember that the Hulk isn't exactly an ordinary guy. In fact, he's possibly the strongest being in the Marvel Universe, with one terrifying quirk. His strength has no theoretical limit. The angrier he gets, the stronger he becomes. And we all know that in moments of, let's say, excitement, emotions run high. Imagine the scene. In the heat of the moment, a racing heartbeat, adrenaline pumping, all of these trigger the Hulk to grow bigger, stronger, and more out of control. In some stories, like Hulk, Grey, his height can vary from 3 to 5 meters depending on his mood. Now imagine that in the middle of the action, it's spine-tingling. And there's more. The Hulk has an instant regeneration factor. Broken bones, destroyed organs, any damage is repaired in seconds. That's great for him, but potentially catastrophic for anyone too close when the destruction occurs. Some of the Hulk's feats include punching planet-sized asteroids to pieces, holding entire continents, and even shattering realities with raw force. In World War Hulk, he literally shook the entire east coast of the United States with a single stomp. We're talking about levels of strength that defy the laws of physics. Analyzing the scenarios. So, back to our original question. Could Wonder Woman handle it? Let's explore a few possible scenarios. Scenario 1. Total control. If the Hulk could maintain complete control throughout, maybe we'd have a happy ending. Diana is incredibly resilient, and with a careful partner, even if he's green and giant, they might share an intimate moment without obliterating an entire continent. But let's be realistic. When has the Hulk ever maintained total control in high adrenaline situations? Almost never. Scenario 2. Bruce Banner in control. Sure, Diana could opt to be with Bruce Banner instead of the Hulk. Banner is a brilliant, kind, and understanding scientist, and completely normal physically. But let's be honest, what's the fun in that? The allure of danger and the raw power of the Hulk is part of the equation. If she were to settle for a scrawny scientist, there's Barry Allen, Ant-Man, or even Batman out there. Scenario 3. Professor Hulk. Now we're talking about a more viable possibility. Professor Hulk, the perfect fusion of Banner, and the Hulk retains Banner's intelligence and emotional control, along with the Hulk's strength. This version could be the ideal partner. Strong enough to be exciting and controlled enough to avoid a global disaster. Scenario 4. The Lasso of Truth. Diana has an ace up her sleeve, her Lasso of Truth. Theoretically, she could use it to keep the Hulk in check, calming him down when necessary. But that raises some ethical questions about consent, doesn't it? Besides, would the lasso even work on someone whose power increases exponentially with anger? And what if it snapped at the crucial moment? Scenario 5. The worst case scenario. What if everything went wrong? What if the Hulk lost complete control at the peak of the moment? Then we'd have a scene fit for the most brutal moments of The Boys. Even with all her divine resilience, Diana probably wouldn't survive the full force of an uncontrolled Hulk. We're talking about strength enough to split planets in half, concentrated in one. Well, you get the idea. Physically speaking, humanoid anatomy has its limit 7, that of a demigoddess. While she can take a beating in combat, intimate situations involve specific vulnerabilities that aren't designed to withstand the Hulk's planetary-level strength. It's like trying to contain a nuclear explosion with a reinforced umbrella it might hold for a bit. But eventually, well, you know. The truth is, even though Wonder Woman is extraordinarily durable, her body does have its limits. When the Hulk is completely out of control, he's destroyed entire dimensions. A force of that magnitude concentrated in an intimate moment would be catastrophic, is an understatement. But there's another factor. Diana isn't exactly weak when it comes to strength. With her super strength, she could theoretically push the Hulk away if things got too dangerous if she had time to react, that is. Then there's the issue of compatibility. We're not just talking about physical endurance, but also proportions. In his most enraged form, the Hulk reaches absurd sizes. That alone would present some serious logistical challenges. Marvel scientists have never really tackled how the Hulk's equipment scales when he grows. Presumably, everything grows proportionally, which would result in something the size of a tree trunk. Even for an Amazon like Diana, that would be a monumental challenge. And we can't ignore the psychological factor. Diana is a warrior, but she's also a compassionate being with strong moral values. Would she really be attracted to a creature that's essentially pure rage and destruction? Or would it be the more controlled version like Professor Hulk that would catch her interest? Furthermore, consider what happens after the climax, literally. The Hulk has a history of causing shockwaves when he exerts extreme force. In some comics, a single clap from him creates a sound wave capable of shattering mountains. Now imagine what would happen at that crucial moment. The resulting shockwave could decimate entire cities. Maybe we're thinking too small here. What if, instead of a potentially fatal situation for Diana, it turned out to be a transcendental experience? Two forces of nature, two near-divine beings, united in a moment of passion so intense, it could literally move mountains. It'd be the cosmic equivalent of two hurricanes colliding, devastating for everything around them, but potentially harmonious between the two involved. Now, if we want to get scientific, we also have to consider biology. The Hulk's DNA is irradiated with gamma rays, making him potentially toxic. Would Diana, even as a demigoddess, be immune to that radiation? Or would every encounter with the Green Giant expose her to dangerous levels of radiation? There are comic stories where even the Hulk's blood is toxic enough to kill ordinary people. Considering the intimate nature of our hypothetical scenario, well, let's just say there are serious biological risks involved. The final verdict. In the end, our analysis leads to an ambiguous but realistic conclusion. It probably wouldn't work. Even with all of Wonder Woman's supernatural resilience, the unpredictable nature and unlimited strength of the Hulk represent a risk that's just too great. The most optimistic scenario would involve Professor Hulk, the lasso of truth, and maybe some extra magical reinforcements from the Olympic gods. Even then, it'd be like trying to tame a hurricane, possible in theory, but with an enormous risk of everything going catastrophically wrong. If they really tried, the most likely outcome would be a devastating scene. A crater the size of the Grand Canyon, gamma radiation everywhere, and probably a severely injured or worse Diana. The Hulk, with his instant regeneration, would likely walk away physically unscathed, but with another psychological trauma to add to his already long list. Perhaps the wisest course would be for Diana to simply look for someone more compatible. Superman, for example, has comparable strength but much better control. Thor would be another option, being a Norse god. He'd probably have the necessary endurance without the issue of uncontrolled anger. Or, upon reflection, maybe it's best to keep some fantasies strictly in the realm of imagination. Not every crossover needs to happen, and this is definitely one that would likely end badly for everyone involved. In the end, I think the answer to our original question, does Wonder Woman handle the Hulk in bed, is probably a no. Not because Diana isn't amazing, powerful, and resilient, but because the Hulk is literally an unpredictable, potentially unlimited force of nature. As Bruce Banner himself would say, "You wouldn't like me when I'm angry." And in this case, he'd probably be right. Oh, and just to be clear, if you're wondering why the hell I made this video, the answer is simple: because human curiosity knows no bounds. And sometimes, that's what makes life so fascinating. And if you've made it this far, drop a comment telling me which superhero you'd like us to discuss in the next video. Thanks everyone.